Another edition of Haas Talks presented by Performance Electronics, powered by Telstar Technologies. Today we have Johnny Boland with us. Johnny, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for taking time to come and hang out with me.
Thanks for having me on. This is pretty cool.
So you're down here for the Non-Wing Nationals, and let's just jump into the start of Johnny Boland. How did you get started into the racing as a driver? Did you do crew member? How did it all get started for Johnny Boland?
I want to say this terrible path that's led to a whole lot of heartache and joy. Started when I was 5 years old, racing go-karts back home. I don't think my parents thought it would last this long, but it did. I've tried everything else, but...
What's the go-kart track down back in Texas? Isn't there like a...
the Cam Cartway.
Cam Cartway, is that where you got started?
Yeah,
or?
Started out at Cam Cartway, ran Cowtown when they had the infield track back there inside the quarter-mile track.
So were these the, what is it, the 500s or the Outlaw carts or whatever? What kind of cart was it?
So it was the Outlaw Wing cart, similar to the 500s, which is with the Briggs & Stratton animal motors and stuff like that on it, the lawnmower motors per se. Actually had the opportunity to run an Outlaw cart for the first time ever about 3 weeks ago, and that was absolute blast. Those things are crazy.
Now, a lot of guys do run those and come up through the micro ranks. How old were you whenever you did the carts, and when did you get into the micros?
So racing the carts up until I was about 9, 10 years old, and then kind of came to the crossroads. Do we dump $15,000 into a motor for a go-kart or buy a micro? And with the way things were looking back then, micro was a better route to go, and so we went ahead and went micro racing in 2011, and here we are.
And how old are you now?
I'm now 20 years old.
20 years old. So you've been doing it just a little bit longer than what I expected. Your first micro, what kind of chassis was it? What kind of car was it?
That was a '08 Triple X with a black and silver Yamaha with restrictors in it.
And your first race ever in the restrictor?
That was Cowtown Speedway's short track inside the quarter-mile track whenever they're doing that in 2011. And that went horribly wrong. Had arm restraints getting wrapped up in the steering wheel, electrical problems. It was a mess. But
a learning experience nonetheless, right?
Oh, big time, big time.
So, Cowtown, I mean, back in Texas, from where you're from, there's not a lot of short true micro tracks.
Right.
So you race on a lot of bigger tracks. Cowtown was like the legendary track. I mean, if you ask all micro drivers, they always talk about Cowtown. And how special of a track that place was, R.I.P. Cowtown. But what are some of the tracks around Texas that you run at quite a bit?
So, unfortunately, we lost Cowtown in 2012. After that, we ran Mountain Creek for quite a while, lost that track to the city once again. Now we do a lot of Greenville, Super Bowl Speedway, RPM Speedway in Crandall. We've got Wichita Falls. Gone down to Houston a few times, raced down. There's a big track, 105 Speedway. Sometimes that place gets on the fence, and it's probably a 3/8 mile around the fence.
Wow.
That's fast.
So you do travel quite a bit. I mean, you go to I-44 Riverside Speedway in Oklahoma City. You come up to Port City. You kind of hit some of the big non-wing shows. Do you consider yourself a non-wing guy over an A-class guy?
It's tough to say that. Whenever I travel, I want to run 2 classes at least. I've always done that with the go-karts, always ran 2-3 kart classes. Just if you're going to travel, 4 to 8 hours, even 13 hours to Illinois, it's silly to only run 1 class when you can run 2 or 3. I wouldn't really consider myself a wing or non-wing guy. I like both quite a bit. Different driving styles, different philosophy in the race. One's more of a boxing match sometimes, one's more of a chess game, but both are quite fun.
Now we talk about your current situation, where you're at now. The past couple of years, you've been running a hyper chassis. For where you live here in the Midwest, it's not the common car. You're a hyper and a D1, Factor 1, Sawyer chassis world. Is that a challenge for you, or what makes you go with hyper over one of these cars that's more predominant in the area?
Only reason I really went with the hyper is coming out of the Triple X days back in 2013. We had no idea what was going on. My dad was still crew chief and really head of the team, calling setup decisions and stuff, and we had no idea what to do. And those guys at Hyper really taught us what to do, how to build the car correctly, what to do with the car in certain circumstances. And with that customer service, we went with Hypers, and I think that they're able to be made work no matter what track conditions, wherever you're at. Just got to figure it out. And that is any car. I don't care what chassis it is. It can still go around the racetrack.
So customer service really sold you on that one.
Right.
Whenever we talk about the customer service at Hyper, they do have an extensive crew and extensive team that kind of specialize in a wide variety of things. You actually had the opportunity to go and work at Hyper for about a month-ish or maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. What was that like for you going up there and just spending time in the area?
Yeah, that was a really eye-opening, incredible experience. Huge thank you to Mike Dicely for letting me stay at his house for 3 weeks. But that was just learning how those, and they're professional race car drivers as far as I'm concerned. That is their job. They get paid to work at Hyper, and then they leave shop sometimes Wednesday to go race, and they'll race 4 to 5 times a week. And they know a lot about what's going on, and if there's anybody to teach you, I mean, those guys are one of the top of the class.
Hyper chassis is really predominant up in that area. Have you had a chance to run up in the PA area, or?
Yeah, last year Michael Linderman gave me the opportunity to run his car during PA Speed Week. That was a learning experience. The way those tracks are ran, completely different style, different dirt, different driving styles, different setups. It's a little bit tough not being in my own car, getting used to someone else's car. Had quite a bit of issues with the motor. We had a weird stator issue, and it took us 4 or 5 nights to figure it out. And then we finally figured it out, and then the car was a rocket ship, and that thing took off. And had the most extreme race of my life probably at Bridgeport Speedway in New Jersey, and that track went through 30,000 different changes in 7 laps. It was crazy. But that was just neat learning that experience and taking that information back home and being able to apply that down here, and sometimes it works really well.
Now, do you prefer like tight, flat tracks, or do you like the bank tracks, small tracks? What's your preference whenever racing?
From a statistics standpoint, I'm going to say with the bigger tracks, do a little bit better with those. Personally, though, I like the shorter tracks, banked or flat, as long as it slicks off to a cushion. That's my favorite kind of track because it's normally the most raciest. Whenever it's just 2 grooves and just, you got to be fearless and have great car control at the same time to be competitive, and it's fun.
Now, we talk about whenever you come here to Port City Raceway, you haven't statistically had the showings that you would hope for, that you would think Johnny Boland, being, like I said before we started recording, you're one of the top names whenever it comes to racing throughout the Midwest. I mean, you get thrown into the mix with Flood and Robbs and Andrews and the guys like that. How does that make you feel whenever you come into a place like this, but you still haven't necessarily met your goals or met what you expect here at Port City?
Oh, it's very frustrating. We were actually sitting at a IHOP last night talking about this. To go, we had a great run at the May Sprint Nationals at I-44. We just came off a win last weekend back home. The night before that, we ran second. Weekend before that, we were doing really well. And we come up here and just absolutely just banging our heads against the wall, figuring out what to do. I think a lot of that has to do with just seat time at this track. I don't run it enough to get good, and the competition's so good out here, especially when I do run these bigger shows. It's what would be a fast car on a normal week is just not a top 10 car even on some of these bigger shows. So just getting more time out here on this track, figuring it out, keep throwing just different ideas at the car to see if it goes around the track faster, and just trying to get more speed in it.
Now, up and down the road to these different racetracks, it's just you and your dad. You don't have 3 or 4 different people helping you out and whatnot. Do you take that as a disadvantage, or do you take that as an advantage, saying we kind of know each other's lingo? Right. He knows what I want. I know how to explain it to him. Or do you sometimes wish that there may be somebody else there that you could kind of bounce an idea off? Or do you have that person that you can pick up the phone and call?
I do have that person I can pick up the phone and call. I wish I can get him out to the racetrack and be able to do it in person so I can just focus on driving. But no, I think that's kind of important as a driver to know setup and what's going on with the car. If the car's not right, I can do stuff with my driving to try and fix it and make it run around the track better. But no, with having my dad being my crew chief and my only person in the pits, I can't ask for a better mechanic. And last night we had a water hose break on us, and it blew up on him actually and burnt him a little bit. But he's the best mechanic you can ask for. He just got the car back together, got me back out on track, and wait till after the night was over with. And I told him, go to the ambulance, get some cream, do something. He got all burnt up, and there's 220-degree water on him. No, we're getting on the track. We're going to go out there and going to win.
That's something that, so I've been watching you and your dad for, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years, and your dad's always hustling. Always hustling. It doesn't matter if it's 5 hours before race time. Yeah. He's always in go mode.
Yes.
And he seems like a magic man because, like you said, he's over there working on the car, busting butt, getting it all ready, and then turn around and I see him up in the stands and he's videoing the races.
Right.
So he does it all for you.
Oh yeah, he likes to video the races so I can go back and watch it. Just like a football player, they'll sit down and watch their film. Same principle here, so I can sit down and go, okay, that wasn't a very good move. I should have done that different. Or, okay, setup-wise with the car, we can do this different. So that's very crucial, getting on the racetrack, and he gets it done. No doubt about it.
You talk about your car for the last 3 years, maybe longer. I see a lot of cars. So you've always had just a black car, plain black car, some silver numbers, maybe a little red outline. And about a month and a half, 2 months ago maybe a little bit longer, I'm walking through the pit area at a racetrack, and I look over and I see this white car with a 1V on it, and I'm like, whoa, who's this imposter? And then I see you walking out of the trailer, and it doesn't look like your trailer, and I'm like, wait, what is going on? You've had some people step up in some big ways and come on board in your 2020 season.
Oh, big time. Really, after that race at Creek County, this is a close race between me and Frank. Just through lap traffic, I just had a lucky break right there and was able to just barely beat him. And that's kind of what opened the door for this opportunity, which up until that point, we were kind of sitting there going, how do we finish the season off? We can't keep affording to travel this. We can't afford the tire bill. It just got to that point. And then Robinson Racing stepped up, Milestone Electric and Wellborn Garage Doors came on board, and it's transformed our program. We've been able to do a huge amount with the car, just upgrading stuff, fixing stuff, trying to get motors to keep on the car, keeping tires on the car, and then being able to afford to hit these kind of shows and travel. It's been a miracle that's happened, and can't thank them enough.
So sponsors coming on board is really big for you, and like you said, it helps you finish out the season. You're here this weekend. It's $1,000 to win, both stock and outlaw. You're running both. Last night, again, just didn't have the or have what you needed. Talking to your dad before you came in, he said that there's a little bit of a motor issue that you guys are talking about, and you've made some changes. Do you think you have what it takes to get a podium finish here tonight? Is that what your goal is, or is your goal to win?
And my goal is always to win. That's always, set your sights at the highest level you can. And I have no idea what's going to happen tonight. We haven't had the best of luck out here, and we've thrown more stuff at the car, see if it works, and it's either going to take off and be a rocket ship like it normally is, or it's just not going to work, and we're going to be fighting it all night. But
is that something that you know from the first moment you get onto the racetrack for hot laps, or is that something that you don't really feel or get the grasp of until like the first heat race?
Normally, that doesn't really kick in until the first heat. Way I normally go, if I have a good hot lap session and we're setting quick time and we're fast in hot laps, we're going to have a horrible night. If I have it off, if I was out in hot laps and flip the car and just yard sail it down the front stretch, I'd probably win everything that night.
Yeah, just your luck.
Yeah, just weird.
The Johnny B luck.
Yeah, it's always been like that. Don't know why.
So looking forward to the rest of the season. I saw your name on the Terry Sprague Memorial. That's a huge race, 7,500 to win. Have you had good luck there? Have you liked that track? Have you been to that track?
So I did run the Terry Sprague Memorial in 2018. I was running like second or third in the B main, just barely missed the transfers, running up in the front, and then blew motor up, unfortunately. Last year, we went to the High Bank Hustle practice session and then watched it rain the rest of the week. So that was real letdown. But we were thinking about it going into this season, if we should or not. Financially, it's kind of tough to travel that far and be away from work. But then, once again, with the Milestone Services, Wellborn Garage Doors, they stepped up and let's do it.
Made it possible for you.
Made it possible, and I have no idea what's going to happen. Hopefully, a practice session goes well, and we can figure it out.
There you go. So, Alex, let's talk about an average week for Johnny Boland. an average week. Monday morning, what time are you waking up and what are you doing?
Monday morning, we're up 6, 7 o'clock in the morning going to work.
And what do you do for work?
I actually work with my dad. He's a MB house. Work on Mercedes all day. The older Mercedes, we get those that the dealership won't touch or it's out of warranty, and you name it, we do it.
So do you guys keep the race cars at the shop?
So the race cars actually stay at my house in Denton. Unfortunately, I live with Christian Kinnison, which has been absolute.
I wasn't gonna bring it up. I'm gonna let you do it.
Oh, I can't. No, I can't thank them enough. Between his help in the shop and then him letting me house the car at the shop and at the house there, and actually now he got his car in the garage along with my car, and it's just super cool. It's been a real blessing that they've been let me do that, and I can't thank my friends enough for helping me out with it. And
he's a riot.
Awesome. Oh yeah,
he's an absolute riot.
He's great.
So you go to the shop, you work until 5, 6 o'clock.
Get off at 5 and head back to Denton.
How far of a drive is it from home to work?
It's about 40, 45 minutes depending on traffic and how fast I want to go.
Wow, that's absolutely insane. So you spend an average an hour and a half a day on the road. Whenever you're up and down the road, and then even traveling to races, what's your go-to music that you're listening to?
Go to El Rancho 2.0 on Spotify.
Okay.
Check it out. That's a good playlist right there. If not, I'm on the phone with someone. Normally Mondays and Tuesdays on the phone with either someone at Hyper or someone else in the racing world, just talking to them, bouncing ideas, and just chit-chatting.
Okay, so is Monday wash day or is Sunday wash day? How does it work?
Sunday is a car wash day and analyze any, what damage we have, what we need to get replaced, so that Monday we can be ordering parts and getting them down here.
And then Monday, are you working on the car every night of the week, doing something every night of the week, or do you find time to sit down and relax and watch an episode of The Office or something?
My version of relaxing was building the foam inserts in the toolbox in the trailer. It was, just every night I'm piddling with the car. There's always something to do with it, whether it's clean. I try and get it all clean on Sunday, but we all know it's not always perfectly clean
in
one day. Maintaining it, fixing it, going through the trailer, cleaning the trailer, doing maintenance on the trailer, the generator, etc. Just spending time with it and trying to get it race ready by Thursday is always the goal.
Now, at home, are you the type of guy that cooks dinner at home or has dinner at home, or are you like going out to eat 4 or 5 nights a week?
It depends.
Because you're a single guy, right?
Yes.
Single guy. Christian's not really cooking home course meals, right?
His spaghetti is fantastic. I wish I can get him to make it more. Actually, my girlfriend Sarah, she tries and helps make sure I stay fed. I'm really bad about not going grocery shop. I'll do great, go grocery shopping, refrigerator stocked, pantry stocked. I can eat for a week, and then I just don't go back to the store for a month. And I'm eating Taco Bell and Whataburger and everything else.
The norm.
Yeah.
So up and down the road, going to these different racetracks. It's a haul for you whenever you come to I-44, and then now even Port. That's a good drive for you. What's your go-to snack on the road?
Normally it's Dr. Pepper. I try not to eat too much on the road. Dr. Pepper or NOS energy drink.
Yeah?
Got to keep up with those going down the road.
Have a NOS or a Dr. Pepper. Do you consider yourself a bacon or a sausage guy?
Honestly, both.
Yeah?
Why choose one when you can have both? It costs a little bit extra at IHOP, yeah, but still.
It's kind of like the extra glass of chocolate milk. It costs more.
Right.
Are you a pancake or a waffle guy?
Lately it's been more waffles. Can't go wrong with a good omelet, though.
Hey, there you go. Sunrise or sunset?
It depends. If it's driving, sunset. If it's working on the race car, sunrise.
Okay. So do you consider yourself a Facebook guy or a Twitter guy?
Oh, definitely Facebook. My Twitter never took off.
Never took off.
I got maybe 60 followers at most on Twitter.
Are you a talk on the phone or a text guy?
It depends. If it's something that can be said over text, I'll text it. But if it's a phone call that it can go in depth, I'll make a phone call about it.
So, are you one of these guys that post all your racing updates and everything on your personal Facebook page, or do you have Johnny Boland Racing?
I've tried doing the Edge Race Team account. That it was kind of hard to keep up with, and it's really turned into more just post to my personal page and share from there to the Robinson Racing Facebook account.
Do you your Twitter? You said it didn't take off. What's your Twitter handle? Do you know what it is?
Oh lordy, I want to say it's 1V underscore Johnny B. More, I don't. I want to say I don't know.
Hey, it may take off. It may take off. I mean, you can just search Johnny B and be done. Is there, if you had to describe your driving style and just your style overall to somebody that doesn't know Johnny Boland, how would you explain Johnny B's racetrack approach?
I want to go 110%, drive it as hard as I can, as long as what the track will allow and the car will allow. That tends to be just my go-to. It's taken a little bit of time to refine that and make sure I'm not running over people. Kind of had to grow out of that stage where I was kind of a hack on the track and just be a bit smarter about what I'm doing. But really I just try and look at the track and go, okay, there's the moisture. I need to be putting the car in that and driving as hard as possible in the moisture.
Whenever you finally hang up the helmet, you're done racing, whatever it may be, what do you want the one thing people, for race fans, other racers, and people in the racing community to remember about Johnny Boland?
Hyper chassis do work fantastic in the Midwest, and Texas is still the greatest state in the racing.
Well, there you go. Johnny Boland right here on Haas Talks. Watch out for the 1V.
Introducing the Performance Electronics Wideband O2 sensor with Bluetooth. With just 3 wires, installation couldn't be easier. Quickly connect your smartphone to our simple app to monitor your engine's air-fuel ratio in real time without gauges. The PE Wideband O2 sensor is just one of many Performance Electronics products that can add brains and brawn to your next high-performance project. Find them all at pe-ltd.com.